I consider myself an early adopter of technology. Been writing about it for over 20 years. And I did test and use the first Google Daydream headset that was extremely comfortable. And then I moved on to the Samsung Gear VR headset that required certain Samsung phones to pop in there and see some of those things. And those were pretty impressive experiences, especially the first time you've ever tried a VR headset. Now, when Apple released the Vision Pro and that high entry price of $3,500, I quickly dismissed it. There was no way I could pay that kind of money for something. And then it was the day when real people got their hands on it and started posting a bunch of experiences about how the Apple Vision Pro was an amazing piece of technology. So I figured I'd give it the 2-week try. And I'm now into about day 8 or 9. I've got a few more days left before deciding to return it or not. So stay tuned and let's talk about that a little bit more. So if you look at the Apple Vision Pro content out there, and there's a lot of great content, for example, a lot of people are focused on the multimedia experiences. And those are fantastic, right? Now, I'm not going to go into the details of all of that. I do have some video clips embedded within this review that show some of my experiences, and some of those experiences can't be shown because they're not allowed to be recorded if it's things such as Disney Plus or Apple TV. But enjoying that content, especially 3D movies and such, is pretty fantastic. And I could easily see using this as something that you'd use on an airplane or on your commute to watch media, movies, TV shows, things like that. That's nothing to argue about there. However, paying $3,000 or $4,000 or more for just watching video content is really hard to justify. So if you look at my ZDNet review, and I'll include the link here in the description, I focused on the ability to use this for work. And, one of the main reasons to use this for work, and here is the Apple Vision Pro. I did a little unboxing, so I walked through it all before. And I've actually learned that the dual strap is actually more comfortable for longer term use. The battery's still a bit of a pain, but I wear a hooded sweatshirt if I'm using it and pop that on my head. Of course, we can give you a look of what that's like. Fits very comfortably, and I really do enjoy the experience. I've used it for about 6 hours straight one day. I only see a little bit on my cheeks that kind of wears away at it sometimes. But other than that, it's really pretty comfortable for myself. Now, my wife, this wasn't sized for her. It was sized for me when they do the face check. So for her, it was not that comfortable. For me, I could use it for hours a day, and that pass-through, being able to see through it while I'm doing other things, is really quite helpful. The killer feature for me, for work and getting work done, is the ability to use it with a Mac, right? And I have a MacBook Pro refurbished that I bought, and that Mac virtual display is really where you're going to get all your productivity. And it is wonderful because you can take that Mac virtual display and make it a large display in front of you, and you can get more work done because you can kind of split up areas of your screen and make that a real big display experience. The one limitation at this time, and I hope it can be solved by Apple, is that it is a single Mac virtual display. There's only one. You can't have embedded all around you, or at least 2 or 3, because when I normally work with my MacBook Pro, I have it plugged in and I have 2 displays plus the Mac display. So I have 3 total displays to work off of. And with just one, I am finding a little bit of limitations with that. However, after posting that article last week, I did start thinking a little bit more about it and how much I'm using on that Mac virtual display of just the web browser, for example, right? So you can run Safari in the Apple Vision Pro. So I started using some of the apps beyond what just shown on the Mac virtual display. For example, I have a Safari browser window open over here. I have Outlook. I have Teams. So I have more of my apps using the Apple Vision Pro. We'll go around a couple of apps that I found so far. There's a lot left to be desired, but here, for example, is Word, and it's Microsoft's Word, not Apple's, although I haven't looked to see if Apple's is there. And say we want to go in there. You can go in there and select text, as you can see. And that is Word. And then we come over here, we have Excel.
And you can also grab and make a huge Excel spreadsheet, which is beyond my viewable area, so I won't go that big, but you can make it plenty big. One of the most useful things that I've seen as we spin around over here is to use this for connecting to your um, connecting to your Macintosh computer, and I have it connected to my MacBook Pro, as you can see here, and we can look at a bunch of different things. As you can see, I'm trying to learn some of the functionality and stuff like that. That's just in Safari. And we've got text messaging and Telegram and all of the greatness of the Mac on a big, huge screen. And then we spin over here. I'm an engineer by day, so my engineering company has very specific software. So I was very pleased to see that VMware's Horizon software is on here. So I'm able to access our virtual desktops at the office. And this is running a General Hydrostatics, which is a ship naval architecture hydrostatic software. And as you can see there, I can see my fishing vessel example on the display, and I can move things around. I can do all kinds of goodies with this, including, there's CAD in here and a bunch of other software packages that I could run right here in the virtual desktop, thanks to the Apple Vision Pro. And then over here, of course, you could do things like look at maps and directions. And if you hold two hands in front of you, pinch them and spread them apart, pull them together, you can actually zoom in and out dynamically. It's really a cool experience.
So now I'm finding it's actually maybe more productive than my initial testing indicated. A couple of things that I mentioned in that review that were limiting me is the VMware Horizon. Now it's great that there is an iPad app that you can download and use on the Vision Pro. However, it's all kinds of buggy right now. And I imagine if they have one that's compatible and working in the Vision Pro, there's going to be some work on that application. Right now, it's really hard to hit targets, even with a mouse or a trackpad. And there's just some problems there that I'm seeing, whereas the MacBook Pro VMware works flawlessly. Also, it does have native Office, Word, and Excel, and PowerPoint in an Apple Vision Pro app, but they are limited. There's limited functionality in Excel. There's limits in Word, for example. So I can work with documents, but it's not quite as functional as the full versions of those software. And then the Office mode, right? Or the travel mode, excuse me. So using it on the train, I still found some limitations because of just the space constraints of me on the train with people next to me. I need to figure that out a little bit more to see if there's other ways that I can kind of work in a more closed environment there. Now I will say, when it comes to work, the Apple Vision Pro is fantastic for privacy and security, right? So you can work on, all of the different Apple Vision Pro and the Mac Virtual Desktop screens and things without anybody seeing what you're working on. So if you're working on some proprietary data or some information, things you don't want other people to see, it is great for having a private computing experience, and I really appreciate that. Now, we talked about multimedia, movies. No question that watching Apple TV, Disney Plus, HBO Max, those kind of things are fantastic, right? You're going to have a blast watching all of that content, and not to mention some of the immersive experiences that are on there. The dinosaur experience for a sample, and then going across the high wire in Norway are great experiences. The other one that I found this weekend actually is sports. Now, last weekend was the Waste Management Open down in Arizona, which is really fun. Golf tournament. If you don't watch golf, that is one golf tournament to enjoy because the crowd gets into it. They're allowed to get into it. It's a raucous, rowdy crowd, and it's really fun for golf. Well, the PGA app allows you to have a leaderboard up front, tee times, everything else, and then you can select. Now, I only saw holes 16, 17, 18, and I'm thinking that this was a kind of a test version because you do have to have the right cameras up there capturing this spatial video content. So holes 16, 17, and 18, you could pick the group of players. They would appear down below you, and the hole that they were playing would appear, and then each player was associated with a color, and as they hit the ball, the color would arc through the air and land. It was a fantastic visual experience. They have a sample Major League Baseball application in there as well. Of course, the season hasn't started yet, so you can watch World Series games from last year. It will show strike zones. It'll show a visual of the players or the positions and where the players are moving. And then you can actually stand, looks like on home plate area, in the different stadiums. So you can look around and see the stadiums. You get a little bit of stadium experience. And then, of course, the game can be playing on a screen as well. So it's not quite as featured as the PGA app yet, but we'll see what happens there. NBA also has they're one of the first sports that have an app. I think you have to purchase their NBA season pass or some other service to really get into all of the stats and that of the game. And then I actually enjoyed on Saturday, it's now Six Nations Rugby, so that was playing, and I had it in the Peacock app, which was an iPad app that's supported, and I had it playing over on my right side on I don't know, it must have been a 10-foot screen, and so it was a great way to watch rugby on a big screen. While over on the other side, I was able to work, and then I could peek over, check out, when I heard some action and things like that. I'm really looking forward to and hoping there'll be something like a Formula One app, because I can imagine having the Formula One leaderboard per se, and maybe the video of that, and then to be able to look down and see the whole course with the cars on the course would be an amazing experience, and that alone might justify the price for many people. Eye tracking is excellent. Sometimes I had some inconsistency with the eye tracking. I did find that when there was a 1.1 update released, so I applied the 1.1 update, I moved to the dual loop strap, which seemed to adjust and hold it in place a little bit better. So my eye tracking, I did another full eye tracking calibration effort, and I've seen it much, much more accurate than when it was a week ago when I first started using the Apple Vision Pro. So I'm looking forward to maybe seeing some improvements there, and it has gotten a lot better and not as frustrating. And as I mentioned earlier, it has been comfortable for me for hours and hours. It is heavy on the cheeks up front. It is heavy with that metal, but it's been very comfortable for me. So the Apple Vision Pro starts at $34.99. I bought the 512 gigabyte version, which is $36.99. And then it has this massive, large travel case that is way too big and thick. There are some Spigen and Waterfield are making cases that are a little bit smaller than this. Actually, the Spigen or the Waterfield may be half this size. This one's just too big and bulky, but if there's no other solution and I end up keeping it, I may have to keep the case. That's $199 for that. So the total for tax for the unit that I bought was $4,300, which is pretty expensive. Apple Care is $500, but talking with the Apple customer service and looking online, it looks like you could pay upwards of over $2,000 for repairs if there's a problem. So if I end up keeping it, I would buy the Apple Pay on a monthly basis, which over the 2 years will end up costing you maybe $100 more than the $500 up front. But if you decide not to use it anymore or whatever, you don't have that cost up front, right? So it's pretty expensive. I'm not going to argue at all about the expense and how you can justify it. I've been looking around. Is there old devices that I have that I can sell? And do I really need this? What am I using it for? So this weekend, I actually was talking with Joel Evans. He and I used to work at geek.com. And he asked if I tried any of the XR glasses. So on Saturday, I actually ordered the X-Real Air 2 Pros. They arrived yesterday. And then I've been putting them through the test. These, I must not have read the whole description properly. They are very comfortable. I mean, they're a pair of glasses, so it's not heavy at all. There's no power, there's no battery. It's powered with a USB-C cable to whatever device you're plugging into. So they're lightweight, they're very comfortable. They're limited on what they can work with. So they do work very well with an Android phone or an Android tablet. They work with a MacBook through the Nebula application when you can actually have 3 desktops, so that's a benefit over what Apple's providing. They work with Windows in a beta form, but I have a Surface Pro and it doesn't have the graphics capability to be able to power that. And there is no iOS support, so there's no iPhone or iPad support for these glasses. So there's some limitations, and what it's really doing is simply providing a larger display. There's a Nebula app that has some AR type stuff, but it's just a few apps that are loaded by default. There's no way to go to a store or anything else, and they're very limited in what they can do. It's really, if you want to watch movies on a slightly bigger screen than your tablet, I can't justify the $500 price, so I'm going to have to return these to Amazon. I gave them a try, but one thing that it did open up to me is I would love to see Apple even come out with another option for people where they launch these kind of XR glasses. It can be an Apple branded, you plug it into an iPhone or an iPad, the iPhone or iPad powers it, provides you with a visual experience, but maybe you get some custom apps through that connection with your iPhone or iPad, and it's lightweight. Maybe they can cost $1,000 or $1,500 or something. That I would go for, because it would really make my commute and my airplane travel pretty enjoyable. So, bottom line, for now, after 8-9 days of use, the Apple Vision Pro is clearly for early adopters and developers and influencers who are getting views. My YouTube isn't monetized. I'm not getting anything out of buying this from YouTube. Everyone, though, should visit an Apple store or find a friend who has one, and you can try it on, because it is a mind-blowing experience. The one thing that's really nice when you have a friend that tries it on is you can connect to the Apple Vision Pro with your MacBook Pro and guide your friend or family member through that experience. If they want to watch Apple TV or Disney content, you just disconnect the viewing mode so they can watch that. Otherwise, it appears as a black screen for you and for them, proprietary rights and stuff. So you can use a very enjoyable demo experience with families and friends, walk them through that. My wife is very claustrophobic, and she's also pretty sensitive to movement and stuff. So I was worried that she would feel enclosed, that she might get sick from the spatial video things. None of that happened, which is pretty amazing for Apple to design a product that didn't make her feel closed. She was actually blown away by that, and she really enjoyed the experience. Now, I am still having a hard time convincing her that I need this for over $4,000. I'm working on it. I've got a few days left. I really want to see where Apple's going with this. I know this is the first version. I know it's going to get lighter. It's going to get better. I'm hoping that a lot of that comes through with software updates for Apple Vision Pro initial users. But I have a few days left to try out and see if it's going to stick around here or not. So stay tuned for more. Subscribe to my channel, and you can see what my final disposition is of the Apple Vision Pro. I do have some international flights coming up that'd be great to use, but we'll see if I can justify that. So thank you everybody for watching. Please subscribe, share with family and friends, and may the mobile force be with you.